Have you ever experienced something that you simply couldn't explain? A noise in the dark, a shadow lurking in the corner of your eye, or something that made your heart race with fear? These aren't just stories, they're true events that actually happened. In this video, we're diving into 5 true horror stories that will leave you questioning what's real and what's not. These terrifying experiences happen to ordinary people, and they're not the kind of tales you'll forget easily. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you might find yourself looking over your shoulder more often than you'd like. Ready to get started? Let's begin. 1. The Haunted Daycare, the Mysterious Voice. At 21 years old, a young man worked in maintenance at a daycare located on the grounds of a Catholic school and church. One evening, after the children had gone home, he stayed behind to handle closing duties. As he carried crates filled with Thanksgiving decorations to the basement, an eerie sound broke the silence, the unmistakable sound of muffled children's laughter. Confused, he checked every room in the daycare, classrooms, playrooms, and bathrooms, but there were no children to be found. The laughter continued, growing louder and seemingly coming from the basement. He hurried downstairs, but what he saw chilled him to the core. A toy car, which had been stationary just moments earlier, rolled across the floor as if pushed by an unseen force. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him, though no one was there. The air grew heavy with fear, and in panic, he locked the basement door and called for help. When the police arrived, they found no evidence of children, and there was no logical explanation for what had occurred. The officers dismissed it as a misunderstanding, but the worker couldn't shake the feeling that something supernatural had occurred. Haunted by the experience, he quit before Christmas. The daycare never felt the same, and the strange, unexplained events remained a constant, chilling presence in his mind. 2. The hallucination that wasn't. One night, a man returned home from a grueling workday, exhausted and barely able to keep his eyes open. After grabbing some fast food, he collapsed on the couch, eating while half asleep. As the hours passed, he accidentally fell asleep on the couch, drifting in and out of consciousness. Around 11 p.m., he woke up, realizing he hadn't taken out his contacts. He stood up and made his way to the bathroom, unaware of what was to come. After removing his contacts, he heard a woman's voice call his name from the living room. Confused, he turned back to check but found nothing. Dismissing it as a trick of his tired mind, he returned to bed, only to hear the voice again, closer this time, coming from inside his room. This time, a figure appeared in the corner of the room, barely visible in the dark. The long hair, the distorted features, and the unsettling presence made his blood run cold. When he turned the light on, the figure disappeared instantly. Terrified and unable to shake the feeling of being watched, he searched the room, but there was no trace of anyone. The voice, the figure, everything seemed real. After a sleepless night filled with dread, the man questioned his sanity. The experience stayed with him for years, a moment he could never fully explain away. 3. The creepy noises in the house. A strange and unsettling series of events plagued a man living with his brother in their shared house. It all began one evening when a plastic cup fell from the kitchen counter for no apparent reason. Confused, the man picked it up and placed it back on the shelf, thinking nothing more of it. But as the night went on, the oddities increased. The next day, while alone at home, the same plastic cup fell again. This time, there was no storm or other explanation for the disturbance. As he stood in the kitchen, puzzled, the unsettling sounds continued. He then heard strange noises coming from above, where his bedroom was located. Upon investigating, he found nothing. But that night, the noises escalated. A tapping sound echoed from his second-floor window. Thinking it was a prank, he checked, but found no one outside. But the mystery didn't end there. That night, as he lay in bed, he saw what looked like a shadowy figure in the corner of the room, staring at him with empty eyes. He jumped out of bed, turned on the lights, and found nothing. But the strange occurrences persisted, filling him with terror. Even after leaving the hotel he had been staying in, the unsettling events continued to haunt him. 4. The entity in the vent. A 13-year-old boy encountered an experience so chilling that it would haunt him for years to come. One night, he was in his room, diligently working on his homework when a sound cut through the silence, childish laughter echoing from the hallway. At first, he assumed it was one of his siblings playing a prank, so he got up and went to investigate. However, when he reached the living room and kitchen, he found that everyone was upstairs, leaving him perplexed. Shaking off the strange feeling, he returned to his room and continued his homework. But then, the laughter came again. This time, it was louder and seemed much closer. The sound bounced off the walls, and as it grew nearer, it felt as if it was coming from within his very room. Heart pounding, he traced the source of the unsettling noise to the corner of his room, just above the floor vent. The boy bent down, his curiosity getting the best of him. He pressed his ear against the metal, hoping for some logical explanation, but the laughter stopped abruptly. Something urged him to look through the vent. As he peered into the dark space, his blood ran cold. There, staring back at him, were two unblinking eyes. They were positioned directly in front of the vent, their gaze piercing through the darkness. He screamed in terror, and his mother rushed into the room. Together, they checked the area, but the eyes had already vanished. The room fell silent, and his mother dismissed the incident as a figment of his imagination. Despite this, the boy could not shake the fear that clung to him. For the next few days, he refused to sleep in his room, haunted by the memory of those eyes staring back at him from the vent. No matter how hard he tried to rationalize the experience as a bad dream or a trick of his mind, the unease persisted. The supernatural had touched his life, and it left an unshakable fear in its wake. 5. The entity in the hotel room. A man on a long road trip stopped at an old, quiet hotel for a night's rest. The building was aging, and the atmosphere seemed to match the rundown decor. As he settled into his room, exhausted from the journey, he noticed something strange. A knock came at the door just as he was preparing to sleep. When he checked through the peephole, the hallway appeared completely dark. No one was there. He opened the door slightly to peek down the hallway, but there was no sign of anyone. Perplexed, he returned to his bed but was disturbed when the knocking started again, louder this time. He checked the peephole, finding nothing. After reporting the situation to the front desk, the woman behind the counter seemed unbothered, and told him there was only one other guest in the building. Still uneasy, the man returned to his room, locking the door again. But the real horror came when, in the dead of night, he saw a massive humanoid figure standing at the foot of his bed. In a panic, he turned on the light, but the figure was gone. Shaken, he packed his things and fled the hotel, continuing his journey to find safety. The strange occurrences left him questioning what he had witnessed, and whether he would ever truly know the truth behind the events of that night. These are just 5 true horror stories that will keep you up at night, wondering what lurks in the shadows. Whether it was the eerie whispers, the shadows that moved on their own, or the unsettling sounds of a child's laughter, these tales are far too real to ignore. But the question remains, do you believe in the supernatural, or do these experiences have logical explanations? If these stories creeped you out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more spine-chilling tales. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss the next time we dive into the unexplained. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where reality may be even scarier than fiction.